all have role models that impact our lives, whether that be a fictional hero or even our parents. And just like everyone else, I have someone who has impacted my life tremendously, and someone who matters to me dearly, even if I don't sometimes show it. That person is my father. My father is someone I wholeheartedly admire, someone I look up to when I'm in a panic, and his name is Chris Stanberry. Before we start, I want you to know a little bit about him. When he first graduated high school, he actually started to attend Trinity Valley Community College. However, he never actually got an associate's degree, but instead served in the Army National Guard for 12 years. After that, he served in the police force till this day and has served for 13 years. Now that we know a little about him, I'll speak about why he's my role model, how he has affected my life, and finally, how I imagine my future after he has impacted my life. So to start off, why is my father my role model? I know having a parent as a role model is very common, but he is someone who I see as a hero, not just as my parent. He has achieved so much in life, and even his job is awesome. So like I've mentioned before, he's a police officer, which to me is an admirable job, simply because the fact that as a child, I've always viewed the police as the protectors of society, and my dad lives up to that standard. He has stopped criminals from robbing people and saved me countless times. Well, to be fair, those times were because I was drowning. Anyway, these stories I read in the newspaper or hear from my father make me seem as a hero, like something I would read from a comic book. He is also the lieutenant at the department he works at, which makes me seem as a trustworthy and hardworking person, which I know to be true because of all the people who trust him and practically rely on him all the time, especially his coworkers. Even if he didn't have his job as a police officer, he has achieved so much in life. He has been awarded Officer of the Year twice, which is amazing to me because it shows how much work he has done. He's even served in both the military and the police force for roughly 25 years, which is honestly amazing to see how long he's worked for. So, now that I've discussed why he's my role model, well, why is he how has he impacted my life? Well, he's done more than anyone has, to be honest. Once he began to get involved in my life, I began to have so many positive changes. Before my mother passed away, he could never really spend much time for me because I only got to see him every other week. And once she passed away, however, it was a rough time for me, and I began to shut away from most people and had some really bad moments where I would just break down in tears. But my father stuck with me. He tried to cheer me up, which began to work, mostly, and he began to help me with the problems I began to face. And only because of him, I was able to accept my mother's death. After a few years, he began to work more to support his family. He even tried to make time to bond with me and make me happier overall. After that, my views in life began to slowly but surely become more optimistic and hopeful compared to my more nihilistic outlook on life. I even began to try and improve things in life I once viewed negatively upon, and it worked mostly. Because of him, I began to become more social, and even met some of the coolest people I know, just because of my dad. And most importantly, because of him, I now have hope for my future and began to have ambitions to succeed, which leads us to how I now view my future because of him. Well, before he impacted my life, I never had much hope for the future. I honestly never cared, but after he became more connected with me, I began to see a more hopeful future. I began to care for it and began to think of plans of my future, like what will I be or where will I move once I leave college. After spending so long thinking about my future, I hope I can one day be just like my father and help others for a living, even if I have to sacrifice my own comfort. In conclusion, my father has done so much for me, not just for me, but for others, and has helped me through some of my darkest times. He's impacted my life in so many positive ways, and because of him, I have hope for a better future.